So this past weekend, I was in New York City. Have you ever been to New York, Connor?
That's where the National Mall is, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we made fun of that last episode where you guys were
I heard.
trying to guess where I was.
A little bit slanderous, I would argue.
Oh yeah, we did poke fun at you. But the fun thing is, now that Mike's not here, we can poke fun at him.
I would never. I would
Yeah.
never poke fun. I would never mock my good friend Michael when he's not here to defend himself. When he's busy taking care of his dad. That's not what he's doing. That's what I was doing.
Right, yeah. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that things are better now for you. But yeah, I was in New York last weekend, seeing my favorite band, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
You travel to see them a lot, right?
I do. They're like the only band I see. So
Yeah.
no one really knows who they are, but they're an Australian rock band who tour quite frequently and have a prolific catalog of music. So they have 26 albums, maybe
That's
27
a lot
now.
of music. How long have they been performing?
Oh, for years and years now.
Okay.
So they do a global tour every year almost. And their latest album is actually an orchestra album. So it's a rock album with orchestra like accompaniment. So they had two concerts in New York City last weekend. One was an orchestra concert and one was a traditional like rock and roll concert. And I went to both of them with a couple of my friends. You know Josh, remember Josh?
I do.
Josh Guy. Yeah, he actually introduced me to the band and went
Fellow
with him
soldier in the fight against
in
the
the
bugs.
Helldivers. Yeah. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. Like I love seeing this band. Especially live, like they have this energy about them because like, you know, certain bands are better live, certain bands are better like, you know, pre-recorded obviously,
Right.
but they just have this electric energy to them live that it's like a must-see live. If you're a fan of their music and you've not seen them live, you have to do it. It's a completely different experience. So I just wanted to shout that out. Shout out New York City. Shout out King Gizzard. New York, great city.
I gotta get there sometime. Probably the best city in North America, by my guess. Not that the competition's steep.
Yeah, it's funny, you know, like this year alone, I'm very fortunate to have done this, but this year alone, I've been to both Tokyo and New York City. So I can.
New York City's no Tokyo, but
I'm just saying, like I can kind of compare them both, you know, from my frame of reference, you know, like big city.
mm-hmm.
I'm not originally from a city, right? So like every time I go to a big city, I'm just like, ooh,
yeah.
But New York's cool. It is noticeably dirtier than Tokyo, I will say. Noticeably.
Yeah. New York is like having did they have their trash in trash cans yet while you were there?
They were in trash bags, just sort of laying out on the street.
There's like a war going on in the streets of New York because city council is trying to pass legislation to force people to use cans instead of just setting bags of trash by the street.
Okay.
And New Yorkers are not standing for it. They love feeding the rats.
Yeah, I mean, like, New York City definitely has a personality. Like, you can feel that as you're walking through the city. And we stayed in Manhattan, which
Oh, wow.
is, well, paid for it through points, of course.
Nice. I'm learning how to do that lately. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
scam.
It is a little bit of a hack until they take it away, like they do with all good things. But yeah, we stayed in Manhattan. We ate some good pizza. We ate some good sandwiches. It was a good time.
You got a New York slice?
I did, yeah. So we ate at John's of Bleeckers, which is very, very, very good pizza. It's like coal-fired pizza. And we ate at Katz's Deli, which is a famous deli.
Yeah.
And they're most famous for their pastrami on rye sandwich. And it's just like this huge sandwich stacked with pastrami. And it was delicious. But I did feel like I was going to die afterwards, like straight up. Because it was
That's
like
a good meal.
Probably 3,000 calorie sandwich. It was very heavy, very, very fatty. But I feel like you got to do it once.
Yeah, I wanna get out there. There's an Amtrak that leaves from Pittsburgh to New York.
Oh my gosh,
daily.
funny story. Okay, so again, I totally forgot about this, but I have to say it now. Originally, I was going to fly to New York.
Oh?
Again, like it's a very quick flight, less than an hour from DC.
It's very quick.
It was a free ticket, you know, through points and everything. But that day, apparently, we were going to get like the storm of the century. All right, according to weather, right? And as I'm at the airport, like literally about to go to my gate, I get a notification, flight canceled. Not even delayed, just flight straight up canceled. I was just like, okay, let's see what we can do here. So I called American Airlines. I tried going through the app. Every single flight to New York City that day was canceled.
Did they
from
put you
DC.
on a bus?
And then I later found out basically all flights to LaGuardia Airport were canceled that day in anticipation of this storm. So I was just like, all right, I need to get to New York City. How are we doing this? So I ended up buying an Amtrak ticket and took the train from DC to New York, and it was a great experience. I had a good time doing that.
How long did it take? It's probably pretty slow, right?
It took, I think, 3 hours.
Oh, that's
around
not bad.
3 hours. That's not bad.
I would choose
at
that
all.
over flying, probably.
Yeah. Like this was my first time doing it, and like I definitely want to do it again. I thought it was a great experience.
Yeah.
And what's hilarious though is maybe a couple drops of rain the whole time I was going there. And while I was in New York, it was just kind of cloudy, didn't rain at all. So all these flights were canceled for no reason. Like everyone's flight schedules were messed up. Josh's flight got canceled, Nick's flight got canceled. Yeah. My buddies had to like make other arrangements. Josh was able to get in on a flight later that day. Like he came later in the evening. But Nick had to come the next day and literally arrived right as the first song in the concert was starting.
That's
like,
sick.
So he barely made it in time.
Yeah.
You know, so, but like all this like fuss over really nothing. Like apparently there was a storm, but it missed all the major like metropolitan areas. So I think, I don't know, like if the plane takes off in the city and lands in the city, you should be good, right? You're above the clouds. If you're flying.
Yeah.
I'm no aviator. I don't know how that works, but
yeah.
I don't know. To me, it just seemed a little silly because like it wasn't raining at all. People made this big fuss over it. LaGuardia canceled all their flights.
I don't know if it's rain that they're so worried about as much as turbulence and stuff. You don't know what's going on up there in the sky.
Yeah, I did read this story recently. I think it was like a Delta flight got like insane turbulence where like dozens of people on the flight ended up being hospitalized.
Oh, wow.
And at one point, the plane dropped 1,000 feet.
Oh my God, that'd be so scary, dude.
Like, I would just think I'd be dead, you know? Like, I'm just like, oh, well, this is how I go, you know?
Yeah. Oh my God.
So,
that'd be scary.
Yeah, never want that. But yeah, overall, it was a great experience. Like, it was jealous. A bit scary there at the beginning, you know, like trying to get to New York. But like, it ended up being a blessing in disguise, you know? I got to make some quick alternative plans and got to ride the Amtrak to New York. So.
Yeah. Yeah, the Amtrak here is once daily, and it leaves at 6 a.m.
Man.
It takes 8 hours when it's like a 6-hour drive and a 1 hour flight. So it's not a very compelling Amtrak.
Well, I mean, I learned quite a bit as I was trying to plan for this, but yeah, there are so many, at least from DC to New York, there are, you know, basically any time of day you could catch a train there.
That's so cool. I'm so jealous.
It was great, yeah. I definitely plan on using that again. Hey, and welcome back to Game Talk. I'm your host, Emmett Beyond. Today I'm joined by Connor.
Hey, guys.
Just Connor this week. Last week we had only Mike, so I guess they're trading positions here.
The week before that, it was just me and Mike.
Oh, yeah. So you've had every combination.
Yeah.
Congrats.
What a treat.
Yeah. Well, so Mike's gone this week, and last week we kind of did a deep dive on Hideo Kojima, our history with Kojima games. Mike and I obviously are big fans of Kojima. Connor, you are not. But Connor, you and I are big fans of Hidetaka Miyazaki. And Mike is not. So I think today it would be very appropriate to do a similar episode, but on Miyazaki, his games, how we got introduced to his games, how we feel about him as a creator, all of those things. So
I want you to know I did listen to last week's episode, but I skipped all the Kojima stuff.
Well, so you just skipped the games we were playing at the end?
I wanted to hear what you thought of Donkey Kong, and then I wanted to hear about Abiotic Factor.
That's funny. Yeah. It was a fun episode though.
And I listened to the cold open.
Okay, so you got the
the
edge
slander.
bits, but not the meat in the middle. But yeah, so Miyazaki. So why don't we just start with how we got introduced to his games? And I can go first. And I think I've told this story before on the podcast, but my first Miyazaki game was actually Dark Souls. So I did not
Me too.
play Demon Souls. And I played Dark Souls when it came out in 2011. And I believe, right, 2011 was also Skyrim, right?
Yep. 11, 11,
2011 was also Skyrim. 2011 was also Uncharted 3. And I remember that year, I was most excited for Skyrim, obviously, like most teenagers were.
I actually wasn't. I was more excited for Dark Souls because I'm a contrarian.
Really?
Yeah.
No, that's cool. Like I think at that age, I wasn't even too online when it came to like games I was interested in. So I didn't really even know about Dark Souls. Like I heard of this like niche PS3 game called Demon Souls, and it was getting some kind of follow-up, and that was like basically all I knew. I didn't really know anything about it. I didn't watch any trailers or anything. And then when it came out, it started getting like all of these reviews, like positive reviews, but I still didn't get it. But like on a whim, I think I got it for like as a gift, or like I forget how I ended up with a copy of it, but I did end up with a copy of Dark Souls. And I played it, and very quickly I fell in love with it. And this game that wasn't even on my radar at all, like very quickly became my favorite game of 2011. Even more so than Skyrim, which I also loved very much when it came out. And Uncharted 3, yeah, like we can't forget about Uncharted 3. I'm a huge Uncharted fan, but this kind of diamond shone through all of these great games. And I remember playing Dark Souls and like really thinking that, this is a kind of game I have not played before. This kind of brutal difficulty. It actually kind of reminded me of like older games I used to play as a kid. Games that would punish you severely for dying, right? And that was appealing to me, but like what I did not expect was just how fun this game would be to explore. And then see, like, as you play the game, how the level design kind of wraps back in on itself, how the different areas are connected. Going through the game for the first time, seeing all that for the first time really kind of opened my eyes to like, wow, this is something incredibly special.
My experience was kind of the opposite. I found out about Dark Souls through the Bartholomew trailer, I think.
Okay, yeah.
To this day, I think is one of the best trailers ever made. Definitely in my top 10. I'd love to do an episode on that one day, but the legwork on that is a little tough. We've talked about before. But I was super on board, and I did I'm a little younger than you. I had a lot of time to myself. And so I ended up sitting down and watching a Let's Play of the entirety of Demon Souls.
Oh, wow.
I think a guy, like basically a walkthrough. Like I was a weird kid, and I just watched a guy give me tips on how to beat this game I knew I was never going to play. I had no intention to buy Demon Souls. And then I got Dark Souls on launch day, and I played it.
On launch?
I think so. It was either launch
I don't think I got it on launch.
After.
I think I got it maybe a couple months after.
Because there was like a little war going on between Skyrim fans and Dark Souls fans, and I was a Dark Souls fan, a fan of a game I had not yet played because it was not out yet, and had no idea. I ended up getting both on launch, but I played Dark Souls, and I got to the Belfry Gargoyles, and I beat them, but I did not see that I got a key. I missed the pop-up I got a key, and so I was like, there's nothing. The game ends here. I have no idea what to do now. And that was it. That was the end of the game for me.
That's a very Connor experience with the game. I feel like you've done this many times.
When I was a kid, for sure, I did it even more. Because I didn't want to look it up because I didn't want to spoil the game for myself. So I got filtered by Dark Souls in a way that I think is different from how most people get filtered by Dark Souls.
Just really quick, I want to hop in, like the Belfry Gargoyles. I think that's when I first realized, like, this game is something else. Like, because I remember fighting the first one.
Oh yeah,
and like, as your first introduction to the Souls games, right? Like, obviously, you can probably play it now and be pretty comfortable, right? You've played many of these games; they all control somewhat similarly. But that was my first Souls game, right? I was like, this is tough. This is challenging. It feels like you have to attack with intentionality because it's not as quick as some of the future games. But fighting that first gargoyle and then seeing the second one come down, I was just like, I can't, like,
well, and I'd never,
like, this is something incredibly special.
My build was terrible too because I'd never played an RPG where it particularly mattered how you do your stats, and
it mattered so much.
Yeah, it mattered so much, and I was probably under leveled. I wasn't doing a good job, but I did, like, bash my head against the wall. I beat the gargoyles, and that felt amazing. But yeah, I bounced off of it, and I did not go on to finish Dark Souls until Dark Souls 3 came out, and everybody was hyped for that. And I, like, wouldn't let myself buy it. I was living in the dorms. This was my freshman year of college. So this was 4 years later. This was 2016, I think. January of 2016. And I finally was like, well, I'm not going to buy Dark Souls 3 until I beat Dark Souls 1, because they're basically the same thing. And I sat down and I started over, and I finally beat it. And God, I loved that game. That was so fun. My ex-girlfriend, who was staying with me a lot in the dorms at the time, hated it. She loved hanging out while I played video games, but she hated seeing me die to the same thing over and over.
And it was
again.
quite, I don't know, like, to a layman, I guess it could be quite ugly to look at too. Like, the character models were kind of hideous.
Yeah,
the environments I liked quite a bit, but I don't know, like, to a regular person, maybe not.
Yeah, but I fell in love with that world. I'd played Monster Hunter at this point, so I was a little more adept at the that style of game, the dodge rolls and everything.
There is some overlap there for sure.
Yeah, so yeah, I just fell in love with Dark Souls 1, but I came at it from a totally different angle, and I did not. It took me a long time to finally play through it, and it took me, I think I had like 70 hours in the game by the time I finished by the time I rolled credits the first time. Like, a very long time.
Yeah, I remember playing Dark Souls 1 a lot. Like, I think I played NG+, and then NG++, and I remember there was a period of time where I was even trying to go for the Platinum Trophy, and that just required so many playthroughs, and, like, because you had to, like, craft all the different items and get all the spells and stuff, and it was quite an involved process.
I think I bought Dark Souls twice. I think I have it on PlayStation 3.
So you played it on PS3. I'm pretty sure I played it on Xbox 360. I'm pretty sure that's where I played Dark Souls.
I was trying to see if I had it on my shelf here. I don't. But I'm pretty sure.
Did I buy it on PS3? I might have gotten it on PS. It might have been like Dark Souls PS3 and then Skyrim on 360. I think that's what I did. Yeah.
But yeah, I think I got it on Steam cheap later. So it was a game that I had, like, not gotten very far in, and I had bought twice and not beaten.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
and
strange.
Plus, like, the multiplayer was such a unique thing too.
Yes.
Like, especially at the time, it was just like this weird. You could see the ghosts of other players, and other players could actually invade your world. And
Elden Ring was the first time I really got to experience that, because by the time I played Dark Souls 1, everybody was playing 3, and then I had to beat 2. I didn't beat 2 until I was living with my friend Josh, so that would have been late 2016, early 2017 maybe. And then I moved to 3 once I beat 2, so it was a pretty long time. I was very late to the party until Elden Ring, and I never played Bloodborne.
Yeah. So first experience. So that's interesting. We both, our first exposure to Miyazaki was Dark Souls.
Yeah.
But I think
most
like,
people it was. Well, no, most people it's Elden Ring.
Well, yeah, if we want to go that, be technical about it. But, like, Dark Souls, I think, is what really put him on the map. Like, okay, this is someone you need to pay attention to.
Yeah.
But before we progress forward in his catalog, right? Let's go back a little bit and just cover the games he directed before Dark Souls, right? So even though, like, we don't have too much in this franchise. He did direct 3 Armored Core games. One in 2005, one in 2006, one in 2008.
Do you have the titles in front of you?
Yeah, Armored Core Last Raven, Armored Core 4, and Armored Core 4 Answer.
Okay, so he did a side game and then a mainline and then a...
Yeah.
I don't know what 4 Answer is. I don't know if that
yeah,
was
I'm not sure. But like
extended.
4 is certainly like a, a mainline
that's for sure a
entry.
mainline. Yeah. And he, did he do Armored Core 6 as well?
No, he was not the director on Armored Core 6.
Okay.
But it's just interesting that, like, I mean, clearly From Software saw something in this guy, right? Like, they were like, okay,
definitely.
You have game directing chops. Let's... Because Armored Core, at this point in time, was already an established franchise. You know, there was, like, a formula to work off of. But come 2009, Miyazaki directs Demon Souls. This is completely new, right? Like,
and Demon Souls is like to set the stage. Demon Souls before Miyazaki gets a hold of it. He was not the original director. This game, correct me if I'm wrong. You have this in front of you probably, but this game was in development hell. Essentially, it was shaping up to be like a nothing burger. It was not doing well at all, and they passed it to Miyazaki to like save it. Essentially,
yeah, that's true. Yeah, so that's crazy that like. I mean, he clearly... I wonder how much of the ideas were his versus how much he took and was able to save, but I suppose it doesn't really matter for the purposes of this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, some of it definitely
Demon Souls is attached to his name now.
Some of it comes from the Kingsfield games, which were a series
I was gonna mention that. Like, it is very much a spiritual successor to Kingsfield, which are even older games that From Software worked on.
Yeah, but you can see some Souls DNA in them, for sure.
Yes. And it almost makes me think, like, From Software being what they are now, like the powerhouse, they're like probably the most respected studio in the world right now. Being what they are now, like if they revisit Kingsfield, what would that even look like? That would be kind of crazy.
Yeah, because they're weird games. I don't know how much you know about them. They're very weird.
I've seen some gameplay, yeah, and they are quite weird. They're like
Strife
first
Hayes,
person too.
Yeah, Josh Strife Hayes has a series of videos about them that I think is worth a watch. I like his content, and they're weird. They're weird games.
But yeah, so let's just linger on Demon Souls for a little bit. So 2009 rolls around. Like you said, this game has troubled development. It has troubled reception too, right? Like previews for this game were not good. People were like, what is this weird game? Like we haven't really seen anything like this before, especially in this era when like open world games were just starting to come out and be like, you know, the hot stuff. Like we were talking about like Fallout 3, eventually Skyrim as well. Like these games like kind of started the whole open world trend that dominated the 2010s. But this weird little game comes out and quickly becomes a cult classic, but a lot of like mainstream I guess eyes looked at it and were like, yeah, this is not for us.
I don't think that is so much the case. It was actually executives who didn't want to bring it west. Dark Souls?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
They didn't want to... I forget who it was that published it in Japan, but they didn't want to publish it in the US. And I think was it Bandai Namco that eventually did publish it in the US? I'm not actually sure about that.
So I think PlayStation, so it's funny, right? PlayStation owns this IP, Demon Souls.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And it was a PlayStation 3 exclusive at the time. And people had to import this game from Japan initially to play it, right? Like it came out in early, like February 2009 in Japan, and then October in North America.
And it wasn't clear that it was going to come to North America at all originally.
Right. Like, because the people in charge looked at this game and were like, this is not what's going to sell. But the people who got their hands on this game sang this game's praises, right?
Yeah.
Like the people who played it were like, this is really something cool. But unfortunately, you know, like not enough people got their hands on it until something like Dark Souls, to where like his name really started blowing up, I think.
It's cliche to say it now, but at the time, this was difficulty was just out of... It was not something you saw in any video games. Like they were all very easy outside of like Super Meat Boy. I don't know if that was out yet, but Super Meat Boy was like a revelation because it was a modern game that didn't hold your hand. Like it had difficulty. There was like nothing to be had back then in terms of difficulty outside of like Halo on Legendary, I guess. Which
difficulty was definitely seen as like an artifact of the past almost at this time.
Yeah,
and I would argue that From Software and Miyazaki's games single-handedly, well, not single-handedly, but like had a heavy hand in bringing that back to the forefront for modern games.
I 100% agree. He saw something that publishers at the time were afraid of. The idea of the player like feeling that sense of triumph of beating something.
Exactly, that intrinsic reward that comes with overcoming something difficult.
Yeah. Games were really turning into playable movies for a while there. And that's not fair. They were still fun to play, but you were not going to come across a game that you couldn't roll credits on for a few years there. It just wasn't going to happen.
Right. So Demon Souls comes out, and I remember hearing about it, right? Like, I was like, what is this weird little game from Japan? You know, like, I remember watching some reviews on it. I was just like, okay, this doesn't really seem like it's for me, but, like, it seems cool, right? I remember thinking this as a kid.
It has sick art. I love the hub world.
Yeah,
of Demon
like
Souls.
the dark medieval kind of.
Yeah,
I love that.
This is probably my first dark fantasy as well as a kid. Like
Yeah.
I can't think of, I had no exposure to Berserk. I hadn't even watched Lord of the Rings. Like, this was...
and I wouldn't really call Lord of the Rings dark.
No, but like, what I'm saying is, like, the darkest I'd seen was Harry Potter, probably.
Right.
Like, the idea that you could have a fantasy setting that was so grim and, like, full of the undead and stuff. It was something that never occurred to me.
I think that was probably the first exposure I have had to something so dark and also fantastical. Yeah. So Demon Souls, just kind of jumping forward a little bit. I never actually played this game until it came out as a remake on PS5, as a launch game for PS5. And
I don't believe they
playing
changed
it,
much, though, right?
No, they didn't change anything except for the graphics, basically. I mean, it is the most gorgeous looking From Software game to date, just because, my lord, they made that game look beautiful. And it's still one of the most beautiful games on PlayStation 5. And I finished it, and it was a great game, and it was, like, so cool to see, because at that point, like, I had basically played through all From Software games up to that point, starting with Dark Souls, and to see kind of this idea that was like the progenitor of all of it. Like, you could see, like, the whole game was really good, but like you could see flashes of absolute brilliance, like some of the worlds. And gosh, I'm going to forget because I've not played Demon Souls in a long time, but in like particularly, I think like the third world, like the one that had like,
I think you can play them in any order.
You can play them in any order, right? But like, I went into the rooms from like left to right.
Okay.
Which I think like probably most people did, but
no, that's not what the guide told me to do. But
the guide, yeah. But like, it was like this jail area, and it like the atmosphere there is just incredible, and I think it was definitely like a tone setter for future Miyazaki games, because that kind of set the benchmark of what he was capable of in terms of creating like a really oppressive, dark tone. And you see that a lot in his future games.
I'm pretty sure that's also where you get the Uchigatana.
Yeah, and that's another thing I love too. Like, some weapons are mainstays in all of his games.
Yeah, the Moonlight Greatsword.
Yeah, whether it's connected to the franchise or not.
Yeah,
which is cool. Okay, let's move on to. So he did not direct Dark Souls 2. He was a supervisor on that game,
and his absence was sorely missed in Dark Souls. And I think he did come back and like help with Scholar of the First Sin, I think.
I think that's true.
I
think that's true. But okay, so Dark Souls 2 comes out, and today it's largely seen as like the black sheep of the franchise. I remember still enjoying it quite a bit when I played it, but like, I realized that like, even as I was playing it, something isn't quite the same. And the thing that was missing was, to me at least, was that intense like cohesion of the world.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Dark Souls 2 felt like a bunch of levels kind of stapled together in an open world. Like,
it also
going from area to area. Yeah.
Such refined difficulty design. Dark Souls 2 just just felt like it was mean to me sometimes. Like it just would kill you for the sake of killing you.
Right.
And that's not really how it leaned too far into that. It felt like they didn't really get it. I don't know. I will say in its defense, I have a friend who played it first. It was their first Dark Souls, and he was convinced it was going to be his favorite because he liked it so much.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like with all of these games, they set such a high bar. Like I would not say Dark Souls 2 is a bad game.
No,
like,
it is far and away the worst Dark Souls game. Like it's not even close. There's no competition. It is the worst Dark Souls game, and it's miles away from the others, in my opinion. But it is still a good game. It is at its absolute worst, like a 7 out of 10. And I would argue at its peak, it's like a 9. Like it's It's
and I mean that's just the level of game we're dealing with here. You know, like all of these games are such standouts. But yeah,
I actually have like a weird amount of nostalgia. I think Dark Souls 2 may be the one I have the most nostalgia for.
Yeah, Majula is a very, you know, I can picture it so clearly in my mind, even now, you know, that like eternal kind of sunset beach area.
Yeah, and I wish they just leaned into, like my headcanon playing through Dark Souls 2 was that it was like a dream world. Like, because you fall into...
it did feel like that sometimes.
And there's apparently, like, according to the lore scholars, that is not the case. But that is how I rationalize the fact that you go up an elevator in a windmill,
right,
and end up in a volcano. Like, none of that makes any sense. And if it was like a weird dream, like my headcanon was like, your character's going insane. Who knows how far they actually went? Like what you were perceiving as the player is not the literal landscape of the world.
And that would be cool if that was actually the case. But like, I think it's just a case of like, the world design was not that well thought out. And you know it would be if Miyazaki was at the helm from the beginning of this game.
Right. There's another instance of that where you're like going down, like you start at sea level and you go down a set of stairs and you descend like 300 or 400 feet or something. Like you descend a really long way and then you're down in this cape at sea level again. And it's like, come on, guys. Like, it's not even something that like you have to be paying attention to catch. Like, it's really jarring.
And it's actually kind of fascinating stuff like that made it in the game because it makes you think that like, did they, like From Software at the time, fully understand what made their game so special? And I would say maybe no. Like, because
don't think until Elden Ring did they really get it. Because Elden Ring is the first one I feel like really recaptures what I love about Dark Souls 1.
Well, there's one more, Bloodborne.
Right, I haven't played it.
You haven't played that one, yeah. But yeah, so like it's like they looked at Demon Souls and Dark Souls 1 and were like, yeah, people love the difficulty, people love the boss fights, people love being punished. We're going to hone in on that. And yes, people do like those things, but the thing that makes these games magic is the world.
Yeah.
To me.
And they also They didn't quite understand the mechanics either, because I remember there were like health gyms that you could get in Dark Souls 2, and I remember like never using Estus flasks because these health gyms were just better, and you could have infinite of them, or 99 of them or something, and it was like, I don't know, they fundamentally, that felt like a huge miss, because even like all the people copying them know that you need Estus flasks to be how you heal.
Mm-hmm.
Even Armored Core does that now.
Right. Gosh, it is funny looking back just how many games have taken inspiration from Miyazaki's Souls games. It's crazy. And you know, we meme on it, but the term Souls-like exists for a reason. You know, developers really like making these kinds of games now. So yeah, that was Dark Souls 2, kind of an odd one out.
And it didn't have Miyazaki because he was working on Bloodborne at the same time.
Yeah, and then I mean, dude, I'm just looking at these dates. 2011 Dark Souls, 2014 Dark Souls 2, 2015 Bloodborne, 2016 Dark Souls 3. Imagine having this release cadence today. Just unbelievable.
And these were not like small games. And they were not, I mean, they weren't Elden Ring sized, I guess. But
these are like 40 plus hour minimum games.
No, and they don't look worse than modern games. I genuinely, like, when you point out that
it's
release
frustrating.
cadence, I don't understand why games take so long to make today. I just don't, because like, if you released Dark Souls and then Dark Souls 2, if you released that exact run of games today, and the art looked the exact same, it just ran well and ran at 4K, I would say thank you, may I have another? Like, please keep at it as long as you possibly can. Like,
to be fair though, to be completely fair, I think From Software has largely kept up that cadence even today. Because if we keep going, right, Dark Souls 3 is 2016, Déraciné is 2018, which is like that weird VR game they made.
but that's not the same team.
It was directed by Miyazaki though.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't even know about that. Okay.
2019 is Sekiro.
Okay, yeah.
And then 2022 is Elden Ring. Okay. So that is like probably the largest gap.
Okay, but in order for this to maintain narrative consistency, we do have to basically let Shadow of the Erdtree be another game.
Yeah, and it in effect kind of is, right? Like, yeah, I mean, it is one of the most meaty expansions to a game.
Yeah, you're not including. Yeah, and I'm not including the DLC that.
Yeah, exactly.
Dark Souls 2 especially had like.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, I actually never played. I haven't played Artorias of the Abyss or any of the King.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I did play Artorias of the Abyss for Dark Souls 1. I did not play any of them for 2, and I hear that's some of the best Souls content.
DLC in the franchise I've heard. I got to it in 2, and I just like really wanted to move on to Dark Souls 3, so I did that. Yeah. I actually did all the DLC for 3, which was immaculate, like incredible DLC. Artorias, I got to Artorias, and I was in New Game Plus, which made him much harder.
Oh, yeah.
And I could not beat him. I still haven't beaten him.
Yeah.
I go back every once in a while and go another round, but can't do it.
Okay, so 2015 rolls around. Yeah. Miyazaki comes back with Bloodborne. And many will argue, probably, and I can't even argue against it, many will argue today that it is still his best game, Bloodborne. Bloodborne is such an achievement. It shows that like he can take the formula and twist it and mold it and still have it hit just as hard, right? Like it took the Souls formula, made it faster, right?
Yeah.
No longer are you blocking, you're countering or dodging, you know? It encourages a more aggressive play style, right? Like you get hit, you're losing blood, hit them back to regain your health, or you're gonna just lose the health, you know? Like it with these few tweaks, the formula radically changed, and it became faster, more aggressive, just more heart pumping. Because up to this point, Dark Souls was very slow and methodical, right? And like after Bloodborne, things speed up. I think.
Oh yeah,
you know, like
Dark
looking
Souls
back,
3 is definitely faster. Yeah,
but Bloodborne was definitely that inflection point where Miyazaki was just like, let's put our foot on the gas a little bit for the core gameplay loop. And just like Dark Souls 1, Bloodborne captured that feeling of being in this dreary, hopeless world that has just incredible level design, right? Like, I wouldn't say it reaches Dark Souls 1. I say it comes very, very close. But this really compelling level design of this twisted medieval, Gothic architecture that, you know, like that folds in on itself, that is initially kind of like a Gothic vampire or werewolf kind of story that then morphs into something way more sinister and way more eerie when it delves into like the cosmic horror aspect of it. Mm-hmm. It is sheer brilliance. And fun fact, Miyazaki, when asked about his favorite games that he's directed, he always says Dark Souls 1 and Bloodborne. Those are his two babies.
Yeah.
And that is probably why we have not seen a Bloodborne remaster to this date, because I don't think Miyazaki will let anyone touch that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have it sitting on my shelf behind me. I just looked at it and I haven't
It's just a shame though. Like it is a shame that it is stuck at 30 frames per second on a PlayStation 3.
At 720p on a PS4.
Yeah.
And I don't like the PS4 controller.
PS4, right.
And I don't like the 30 frames per second. I don't like the PS4 controller. I'd have to hook up my PS4, and this is like literally the only game I would ever play again on PS4. Like I have no other games to return to. Spider-Man came to PC. Persona came to PC. Uncharted 4 came to PC. Like this is the only game that I care about literally at all that is stranded on the PlayStation 4. And there are ways. You're right, like there are ways to you can
force the
emulate
60 FPS. And there are even ways to force it on a console.
Really? Okay.
Not legitimate ways, right? Like
Right.
you risk, getting in trouble with Sony for doing that, but there are ways. But it is a shame, right? Like at the very least, even if you don't touch the resolution or anything, just re-release it at 60 FPS, and it would be.
Yeah.
I mean, people would pay full price for that.
Happily,
like people would.
I mean, not that many people got to play it. It's probably one of the worst selling Souls games because it was it was an exclusive.
Yeah.
And this was before they really picked up heat. I bet it sold better than Dark Souls 2, but I bet it sold worse than Dark Souls 3. If I was to hazard a
absolutely.
guess.
Dark Souls 3 is when the sales really exploded for the franchise, actually.
Yeah. And then it earned.
Yeah.
Not that Bloodborne doesn't earn it, but like Dark Souls 3
Bloodborne, right? Like the trick weapons too. Once again, just showing how like Miyazaki's not a one-trick pony, right? Like the weapon system is so drastically different in Bloodborne than it is in the Souls games. Each weapon has like 2 different like modes. You can switch between them. You can combo between the modes.
Yeah.
And it just made each weapon feel so unique, way more so than the weapons in Demon Souls or Dark Souls. Because like, yes, the varying weapons in Demon Souls and Dark Souls had like different combos and attack patterns, but there were a lot of similarities, right? There were a lot of like long swords, there were a lot of great swords, there were a lot of blunt weapons, etc. In Bloodborne, every single weapon, there are far fewer weapons, but every single weapon is completely unique. And that made the weapons in Bloodborne very, very special. And it's just such an incredible game, man. I can't stress it enough. It's just the perfect fusion of Souls design with cosmic horror, with gothic horror. It's a gem of a game.
I feel a lot of like I don't know that there's actually any inspiration, but in my heart, I feel a lineage from the earliest Castlevania games.
Yeah,
to the Souls games, and I think
that's totally fair.
Probably strongest in Bloodborne.
Yes, and I think the early areas in Bloodborne were definitely inspired by, at least visually, by Castlevania for sure.
I would love. I mean, obviously, I love what they're putting out anyway. I don't need them to do this, but a FromSoft take on Castlevania would be like,
that would just be Bloodborne 2 in all but name.
Yeah. They just have to add a whip.
Yeah, I mean, Bloodborne had a whip.
It has a whip. Oh my god.
Yeah, Bloodborne has a whip.
Game. Oh my god.
It's a cane whip, right? So it's a cane, and its second form is a whip. Yeah,
I gotta play it. I'll get to it one day. I keep saying that, but it is like. The 30 FPS sucks because it's not even a good 30 FPS. It's
and it is. This game did come out in a time where console gamers were conditioned to think 30 FPS was okay, right?
Yeah.
So I played this game none the wiser. But you know what they say, ignorance is bliss. Like I almost wish I could go back and not be able to tell.
Well, for what it's worth, playing Dark Souls 1, if you played it on Xbox, you were grateful when it was hitting 30 FPS.
Oh yeah, and especially like we get Blighttown.
Yeah, Blighttown was horrible.
You're thankful to get 20 FPS.
And these PC ports were horrendous. They were capped at 30 and often like not hitting it.
Yeah.
But fortunately there were fan patches. I've never played a Souls game at sub 60. Also, the Dark Souls 1 was Games for Windows Live. Do you even know what that is?
No, what a time we used to live in.
It was this horrible Microsoft initiative to try to this was like pre-Game Pass days, but they're basically doing it again with Game Pass, but they're being less horrible about it. But it was Xbox Live on Windows but free. And it was like their attempt at competing with Steam, although you still bought the games on Steam, but instead of using Steam's multiplayer network, it used Games for Windows Live, and Games for Windows Live shut down. And for a while, like I think they fixed it since, but for a long time, you just couldn't play Dark Souls online on PC. The multiplayer was gone. And a lot of games got killed with the Games for Windows Live thing. I have no idea why they did that.
All right, so 2015, Bloodborne, and then 2016, we have Dark Souls 3. And this is where, like, I think From Software and Hidetaka Miyazaki, his reputation and their reputation have been building on a steep incline for the past several years, right? Demon Souls comes out, cult classic. The people who play it love it. Dark Souls comes out, more popular of a hit, but still isn't like getting mainstream eyes
niche.
on it.
Yeah.
But flowers out the wazoo. Dark Souls 2 comes out. It's a bit different, but at the time, right? Like
it was well liked.
It was highly lauded as well. It's only like looking back that we see Dark Souls 2 as the black sheep. At the time, it got all its flowers. Bloodborne comes out and people are in love with this guy, right? And now Dark Souls 3 comes out and the sales explode, right? Like this is the first like huge sales jump we've seen for their games, and the first sign that mainstream audiences are now adopting the Souls formula as well. So he directed Dark Souls 3. It is very much a sequel to Dark Souls 1, which I enjoyed very much, and I don't know if I have too much to add. Like, I know you have more of an affinity with Dark Souls 3 than I do. I enjoyed it a lot.
Let me just kind of set the stage for Dark Souls 3 from my perspective. And I think the hindsight is less generous to it. But at the time, this was like, oh, Miyazaki went off and did this weird thing on the side, Bloodborne, that was really good, but nobody got to play it because it was PS4 exclusive. And now he's taking everything he learned from this weird side game that no one cares about and putting it back into Dark Souls. And it's like the best Dark Souls combat has ever felt. And
Bloodborne has absolutely informed, like I said, the future games, right? So Dark Souls 3 all of a sudden is much faster, nimbler than 1 and 2.
Yeah. Very fast, My only real complaint, like, Dark Souls 3 is the one I'm most likely to go back and replay, probably. Because the Dark Souls 1, it's the beauty of discovering the world, but you really only get to do that once. It really doesn't matter on consequent playthroughs. Dark Souls 3 doesn't have any of that, though. There is essentially no interesting world discovery for me. And that is kind
I think the world the interesting part comes into linking things back to Dark Souls 1.
Right. But the world doesn't wrap around itself the way that it does in Dark Souls 1. Like, you don't, there's not as many shortcuts opening up. There's not as many, the geometry is just not that interesting. It's very linear. And what I liked about Dark Souls 1 was, like, you would go through a door, not really know where you are, hop in an elevator, and like, oh my god, you're back at Firelink Shrine. And it's like, oh my god, this map connects in this way. And in Dark Souls 3, you just have fast travel from the very beginning of the game. So they didn't bother with any of that, which kind of stinks. But the combat, the story elements, the actual, like, figuring out what's going on with the world, like, it's the most somber, or it's the most upsetting, like, look at an apocalypse in motion, I think, which is what Dark Souls is all about.
Yeah.
And it really does feel like you are, like, the world's ending in Dark Souls 1, but, like, it's ending in Dark Souls 3. Like, stuff is messed up around you. Like, weird stuff is happening. There are clearly, like, extreme consequences to people linking the fire. And
I need to go back and play this game. I never actually finished Dark Souls 3.
Really? The final boss is like, this is
I think I got all the way to the final, like, dungeon area, and then I just got distracted by something else.
I don't even remember what the final dungeon area is. I do remember the final boss. It's like the Lord of Cinder. And it like continues a long-standing tradition in Souls games of having, like, a pretty lame final boss.
Right. Yeah.
Until the DLC,
a tradition that does get bucked with the next game, I will say. But
what's the next game is Elden Ring?
Sekiro.
Oh, Sekiro. Okay, I was gonna say, because I don't. The Elden Beast is fine. I wouldn't call it
no
good.
But yeah, let's
talk Sekiro for a minute. Yeah.
Well, okay. So are you done with Dark Souls 3?
I think so. Yeah. I will shout out the DLC, and I will say props to them. It takes courage in today's day and age. They ended that world. Like,
they did.
You, the player, end that world, and that's cool.
And we have not gone back since, right? There is no Dark Souls 4. Although I will say, if we get a Game Awards and the Dark Souls 4 trailer drops, I will poop my pants. I would be there day one for that. Because, well, let me put it this way: if it's Dark Souls 4 by Miyazaki, like, I don't want someone else to just pick up Dark Souls.
He has too much artistic integrity.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's going to happen, right? Like, I think if it were to happen, it would happen for a very, very good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dark Souls 3, probably the one I'm least familiar with. I need to go back and finish it one of these days. It does run at 60 FPS on console, which is a huge plus.
Yeah, this is this PC port. I didn't have to mod this one. I bought it and I bought it and played it. I actually played this is a funny aside, but I played most of the game on a Steam Link. On my roommate's TV in our living room. So I like.
So there was latency?
No, it was kind of props to the Steam. I mean, there was some latency probably, but not a noticeable amount. I would say Dark Souls is a game you can actually kind of adjust to latency. The dodge windows are pretty generous in Souls games, so you can make it work.
So there is one game before Sekiro. I got ahead of myself.
The VR thing?
In 2018, Déraciné. I don't think either of us have much to say about this.
I've never even heard of this before.
Yeah, so I think it's a PSVR exclusive. And I think this is the game. So let me back up, right? So like FromSoft makes Demon Souls for Sony, right? And they had what seems to be like a 3-game contract. A lot of these publishers like do something like this where like, okay, over X amount of years, make us 3 games. And then that's the end of our contract. And I think Déraciné is game number 3, right? So game number 1 was Demon Souls.
Okay.
Game number 2 was Bloodborne. And then Déraciné was game number 3. So I don't know much about this. Yeah, it's a PSVR game. And it apparently wasn't even that great. So a rare miss for Miyazaki, but like also it was VR. Maybe it was just kind of a side project for him. I don't know.
I mean, the fact that Astrobot was good is like the exception. PSVR 1 games were terrible by and large. Yeah. Like Skyrim VR on console was like not enjoyable. It was like a mess.
Yeah.
And it was probably the best thing other than Astro. Just by and large, like PSVR 1 did not get good game support.
And just a fun what if, right? Like, I bet Sony is absolutely kicking themselves for not seeing what everyone saw in them sooner.
Yeah.
Because, like, you would know for sure they would have bought FromSoft when they were very small.
Yeah.
And FromSoft would be one of the strongest first parties for PlayStation. And that potential was there with Demon Souls, right? Like, usually what Sony does is, like, they get these third parties to make exclusives for PlayStation, and then like if they're friendly, they buy them. Like that's what happened with Insomniac.
Yeah.
Just a tale of what could have been, I guess, for PlayStation.
It didn't happen. I mean, I think everyone is better off because that didn't happen.
I think you're right. I think there would have been a small chance of Sony trying to like be like, okay, make this kind of game. But I think with Miyazaki being the kind of auteur he is, even under PlayStation, he probably would have gotten free reign to do what he wanted. But
yeah, but it would have been PlayStation exclusive, so we'd have like a dozen 30, or not a dozen. We'd have 3,
a dozen Bloodbornes,
30 FPS locked, like never to be re-released.
Yeah. So we got the better reality.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to one of my favorite games, and I don't think you've played this, Connor, Sekiro.
Not yet. It's been on my wish list for a very long time, and I'm just waiting for I'm waiting for the inspiration to strike. It is, to me, the least interesting of Miyazaki's catalog.
Yeah, so it took the very bones of the Souls formula and put a completely new twist on it, right? And it just, I don't know, like, some people will look at these games and be like, oh, Miyazaki just puts out the same game every year. But I look at these games and I'm like, he puts out games with such unique twists on his core ideas each year that it's so impressive. Like,
and Sekiro I haven't bought because it's so different from the Souls games.
Yeah,
especially.
It is the most radically different. Like, it's much more akin to an action game. It was published by Activision, which is crazy. You know, like that hasn't happened again.
I wonder why.
But yeah, Sekiro, like, if we thought Bloodborne sped up the combat, Sekiro takes it, puts it on steroids. It is one of the most fast-paced, action-heavy, parry-heavy games I've ever played. You know, like, parrying is a crucial part of Sekiro, Sekiro's combat. And it takes that, like, kind of trademark difficult boss fights. it does take away the world building aspect, and that will, I think, bother a lot of diehard fans.
Me.
But what they do add is a lot of verticality to the level designs, right? So the level designs are, like, in terms of the world, less interesting than the Souls games and Bloodborne. But in terms of, like, actually playing through the levels themselves and having interesting, like, design within the level and not, like, connecting to each other, that is one of the peaks of the franchise, right? Like, the verticality added by the grappling hook in Sekiro makes the level design very, very good in Sekiro. So it's a blast to play. I remember beating this game so many times. Like, I after I beat it the first time, I basically speed ran it. I beat it so many times after that.
The Souls games make me want to do that. I did the same with Dark Souls 1. I did it. I ran it back.
Yeah.
Like, it took me 70 hours to beat it once, and it took me like 5 to 8 hours to beat it.
Yeah, it's
time.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much faster you get once you've seen it all once, But yeah, Sekiro is an exceptional game, and it did buck the From Software trend of having a lame last boss, because that last boss,
that's what I've heard,
in Sekiro, is one of the most memorable last bosses in any video game. Wow, yeah, that fight. I think I still have that fight, like, saved on video somewhere. Like, it was just such a rush, and it was like a true test of every single mechanic you've learned in that game.
Yeah.
No matter how niche it was, right? Like, even like the catching lightning and parrying it, that's something that comes up almost never in the game. If you don't do it in that boss fight, you're dead.
Really, that's fun.
So, like, it's a great kind of greatest hits, like, summary of that game.
I watched
it's
a
very
buddy,
challenging.
I've seen the final boss fight. I watched my buddy Brock bounce off of it for a few hours, like just trying over and over and over.
It's
again.
very hard.
Very hard.
Like,
and he was also inebriated, but
yeah. I mean, it's no joke. Like, some of the but that's a thing. Like, once it clicks, right?
Yeah,
like, once you beat him once, you can beat him again.
Yeah.
Like,
that's how all of them are. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But I think even more so, like, because, like, in Sekiro, the combat is so fast.
Yeah.
You can enter a kind of flow state in a way that you can't really do in the other Souls games, right? Because, like, the other Souls games, there's always, like, a deliberation of, like, what's my next move? What's their next move? In Sekiro, there are times when you can, like, see the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
You're parrying every move. You know what your enemy's going to do before they even do it, and you feel godlike.
Yeah,
when that
correct me if
happens.
I'm wrong, but, like, and this is true of Monster Hunter as well, but in the Dark Souls games, it's kind of like the boss takes its turn, you take your turn. And if you're really good, then you may be able to notice more of your turns that you can take. And it felt like in Sekiro, if you were locked in, you made your turn. Like, it was always your turn. You could always be in there doing what you wanted to do. You could really take over the situation if you were really good.
It does feel like that, like, there are times when, like, the enemy does attack and you have to do the appropriate counter. And that's the cool thing too. There's multiple different types of counters in this game too. Like Mikiri counter and, like, normal counters and, like, dodges, obviously. But, like, and all this happens on the scale of, like, less than a second, right? Like, you have less than a second to make the decision of, like, am I attacking? Am I blocking? Am I parrying? Am I Mikiri countering? Like, am I jumping? It's
like, almost a rhythm game at some point.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So there are many times in that game where instinct just sort of takes over, and it just feels incredible. And it feels nothing like some From Software has ever done before that point, and they have never done anything after that felt like it either. So it is very unique. It is singular in their catalog. And I would love to see them revisit this idea of a fast-paced action Souls-like again. Hopefully we get it. But yeah, brilliant game. And I believe it won Game of the Year in 2019 as well.
Probably, yeah. Stolen from the game that truly deserved it. Outer Wilds.
Death Stranding. Yeah.
I think Outer Wilds is 2019. I might be wrong about that.
All right, next up is a game that no one's ever heard of.
No. Needs
So
no
Elden Ring.
introduction. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what else is there to even say about Elden Ring? We've talked for hours about Elden Ring on this show.
We have. My only complaint really about Elden Ring is that it is not replayable, because it is like, I've thought about it a few times. I've wanted to play it again, and I take one look at it and I'm just like, I don't have the time. I wouldn't even know.
But it's crazy. Like the scale of Elden Ring cannot be overstated. It is literally like you take all the previous games we talked about and mash them together and you get Elden Ring.
Yeah.
That's the scale of the game we're talking about.
Like, it's so big that I actually, like, by the time I was beating the final boss, I did not remember what order I played through the game in. Like, it had all become like a jumbled,
I get it.
Like, when did you go to Caelid? When did you go to the summit? Like, and I think if I were to play it a second time, I think my route would be very different, because I know now that I've, like, further completed. I haven't 100%ed it by any means, but I found multiple ways to get to, like, the Altus Plateau, which is like the midpoint of the game, sort of. And, like, the way that I went is far from the only way to get there. There are a couple different routes you can take that are all equally valid and all satisfying and difficult. And, like, when you choose to do stuff matters significantly. And, like, I think you were universally going to have a very easy lull in the middle of the game where there are a bunch of really easy fights you have to grind through. But which fights are easy is kind of up to you, because it's the ones you do early that are hard and the ones you save for later that are easy.
Yeah.
So it would just be a very different game, I think, if I were to replay it. And if I had unlimited time, I would do that.
Yeah. Especially like going through Miyazaki's catalog like this, it's wild to see how many times he radically reinvents the formula to great success. Yeah. Right. And he's done it again with Elden Ring.
And I did not think open world Souls would work. I was not.
He made it work.
I wasn't a believer going in. I was so hesitant, or not hesitant. I was so cautious in my optimism, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think especially with Elden Ring, and like, as we know, Elden Ring is when these games went mega viral. Yeah. Right. Elden Ring is one of the best-selling games, period.
There are people I know that don't play video games basically at all that are, like, playing through Elden Ring. Yeah. And, like, really learning the hard way, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Is it the open world that did it? I don't know. I don't think we'll ever really quite know. But some combination of factors made Elden Ring this shiny object to everyone. Like, I had people who like my friend Tom, you know Tom?
Yeah.
He basically only plays GTA online. Yeah. Right? And, like, he doesn't really play that, like, vast, like, a variety of games. Even he hit me up and was just like, so tell me about Elden Ring. And I'm just like, what is happening? Like, this is the game. And I think it must be the open world, right? Like, the open world has that kind of enticing.
What year was it? Was it 2022?
In 2022, yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't the pandemic either. We were vaccinated by then. Yeah, I mean, everybody had game consoles by this point, though. That helps a tiny bit. But I think it was the game. Like, it was just
the game. Like, yeah.
It was just that.
It was just too good of a game. Yeah,
and TikTok's huge. It had very viral moments, like that chest that warps you to Caelid. That was extremely memeable. That was very viral. Like, everybody experienced that. Everybody was like, "Oh my god, this is terrible."
Yeah, and like you said, like, it is so long. Like, by the end of it, like, I mean, easily 100+ hour game. Yeah. But by the end of it, you feel like you've gone on this odyssey. You know? And that's not to even talk about the DLC, which comes out and adds like another 50+ hours to the game. You know?
And like the DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree, I was positive on it when I played it, but it's like digested very positively too. Like, I think I like it more now than I did then, especially like looking back on some of those boss fights. What was his name? The Fire Needles guy.
The
spear.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Mikola?
Something the Impaler. Mesmer
the Impaler. Yeah. Well, I think that might be my favorite fight in the DLC, because that was one of those, like you described it talking about Sekiro, but I beat Mesmer by the skin of my teeth, barely was able to beat him. And then I was like, no, I get it. And I went online and I just started beating him for other people. I was just like,
right,
it works. Yeah. Like, I get it now. You're done. I know every move you have. I know how to dodge it. And everybody who says your heart is a baby and should shut up.
Yeah.
Learn how to play the game. Get good.
But the other thing I want to mention about Elden Ring is that even for years after it came out, it provided entertainment to me through like Twitch streams.
Yeah.
Like I saw Northern Lion play through it. I saw Dan Giesling play through it without any vitality, which was so much fun. And it is just just the game that keeps giving.
Maya Higa, the girl who runs Alveus, recently did a stream where she was trying. She doesn't play video games. Like I think the most gaming she's done is Animal Crossing. And
then she plays Elden Ring.
Yeah, from nothing. She wanted to learn to, or she was doing a stream where she played Elden Ring, and she, it took her 2 or 3 streams, like 16 hours or something, between 8 and 16. It was a really long time to beat the first main boss, Margit. The fellow
in Elden Ring proper, right? Yeah. The Fellowman, Margit the Fellowman.
Margit the Fellowman. And she put the controller down, and she was like, "I don't feel good about this," and she never played the game again.
Oh wow, yeah.
But it was still like super entertaining.
If you can beat Margit, you can beat the game.
That is 100%.
That is the test that filters out the people who are not able to beat the game. I think. What a game! Yeah, like, and that's the thing too, right? Like, we've digested it for a few years now, and it has not gone down even the slightest tick in my mind.
It is currently the most undisputed game of the year in Game Talk history. I do actually think it's going to be usurped this year as the most undisputed game of the year.
Yeah, because Mike disputed it, right? Because he didn't play it.
I think so. I don't know if that's true. We were just.
No, he might have just given it the vote out of respect.
But. Yeah, but it was yeah. But
I mean, let me just put it this way.
I think the other angle, like what may have drawn people in, is that it is one of the easier of Miyazaki's catalog.
It is, yeah.
In that you can go somewhere else and get stronger, and that's not an option in Dark Souls.
But also, what's brilliant it is as easy as you want to make it, right? Like he gives you all these tools. You can have these summons, you know, like you can summon other people, right? Like you don't have to do any of that if you want to have like a more like hardcore experience. So
yeah, and the mechanics around the summons, I kind of like. The harder a boss was, the less I wanted to use the mechanics that make it easy. But I did use the summons a little bit, like the because they were interesting, they were cool, and the mechanics set around them was interesting to engage with, and I didn't want to miss out on it by being a try.
And that's such a brilliant way to do difficulty modifiers. Make them mechanically interesting to engage with, and not just like a setting in a menu.
Yeah,
brilliant stuff. And I was just gonna say. Like, this game is so good. I mean, it is in severe contention. Like, if GameStop is still around in 2030 and we do a game of the decade, it is in contention for game of the decade, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely top 3 so far.
Yeah.
It's Claire Obscure is really good,
It is very good, but like also we have to keep in mind, we have to be fair. Claire Obscure came out this year. Elden Ring is now 3 years old, and we are still this hot on it, right? So
definitely a recency bias.
Yeah. So brilliant game, and like that's where we're left with Miyazaki, right? That is Miyazaki's latest game. Elden Ring, Night Rain was not done by Miyazaki; that was someone else. But just to, I guess, quickly comment before we move on, we do have Miyazaki's next confirmed game that he's directing, which is the Duskbloods on Nintendo Switch 2, exclusive to the Nintendo Switch 2 in 2026. Which, I mean, at this point, can you even doubt Miyazaki, right? Like,
yes,
this is another kind of bold direction to go in, right? Kind of following up more on the Night Rain style game.
And Night Rain does not interest me.
But this one is directed by Miyazaki, right? So can he do no wrong? We'll find out in 2026.
This is definitely I mean, I know I just said I was a little cold on the open world thing, but I think this is the most likely to be a flop of anything Miyazaki's ever done.
Yeah, I mean, even me, like we just spent an hour glazing this man. I have played almost every game this man has directed, and I look at this and I'm like, I don't see it, right?
I mean, and
you have to show it to me. Miyazaki, you have to show it to me.
It's not just the multiplayer focus. It is that from a technical perspective, FromSoft are some of the worst in the industry. They're not good at making.
They don't care about technical fidelity at all.
And you're putting them on the Switch too.
It's just I guess a testament to how good their games are that people still eat them up, right? Like, because a lesser developer, would not fly. It would not fly, at all.
If it was anything other than like some of the best games I've ever played, I would not have nice things to say. Like Elden Ring, if you listen to this show, if you're a longtime listener, my Elden Ring experience was miserable. I had it wasn't fixed until years later. I had constant stutters through the entire game, and it never let up. And my Shadow of the Erdtree playthrough, the stuttering was gone, but the frame rate on all platforms, the frame rate through Shadow of the Erdtree was abysmal.
Yeah, so technical chops, not their strong suit.
And so put them on Switch 2, which is,
the most constrained.
Yeah, the most constrained.
And all the platforms at the moment.
Now that we've had the Switch 2 in our hands for a while, not the most impressive hardware in the world. Donkey Kong Bonanza looks like a smear across my TV most of the time with FSR 1.
That's the thing, though. Like, they do have access to DLSS. No one's using it yet because I think these were Switch 1 games that are making it over to Switch 2. But I think, hopefully this was a Switch 2 game.
Yeah, but we don't know. Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah.
Coming in 2026, it probably started development 8 years ago or something.
But it's funny. Like, you look back, right? We've gone through all of Miyazaki's games. He is one to take risks, right? Yeah. Like, he is never one to just sit on his laurels, and you have to respect that, right? Like the obvious follow-up would be another game like Elden Ring, like an Elden Ring 2, or a similarly open world style FromSoft game. That's got to be coming. You think they've only done it once, right? They're not going to move on that quickly.
Yeah.
But the next game that's a follow-up is a online multiplayer co-op. Souls-like? I don't really know what it is.
It's a roguelike.
Extraction Souls-like game?
Night Rain I would call a roguelike.
Yeah.
Kind of.
So, I'm talking about the Duskbloods, right?
Oh, the Duskbloods. I don't even know. We don't know enough about the Duskbloods yet.
But that's why I'm not focusing on Night Rain, because he didn't direct that game.
Right.
He is directing the Duskbloods, so it is something like, even if it doesn't interest me on paper, his name's attached to it. I have to at least check it out, right? Like, that's how much weight his name carries.
It is worth noting. We haven't said it, but he runs FromSoft now. He is.
Yes,
he's the
he
head.
has made his way to the boss of the entire company, which, and he's one of the most celebrated names today. Like, we talked about Kojima last week. Like, Miyazaki, he's younger, but he's absolutely up there.
Yeah.
In terms of accolades
and he
for
makes
his
good
games. Yes, he does. So I just want to quickly mention the Duskbloods, because that's the next game we have confirmed from Miyazaki. But man, like, this guy's got such a bright future ahead of him. I can't wait to see what else he does. Like, he's single-handedly changed the industry already, and he will continue to do so in the future with his highly influential titles. So, shout outs to the legend, Hidetaka Miyazaki. All right. Any final thoughts before we move on, Connor?
Nah, I mean, can't wait to see what comes next.
Yeah. All right. So, games we are playing. So, I think you and I have both been a little busy, so we haven't been playing too much.
I have an important announcement to make.
Okay.
It is my great honor and privilege to announce to you, ladies and gentlemen, I have made it off of Gleba in Factorio Space Age.
Congrats.
After only 8 months of being stranded on this shithole planet.
How's it feel? Does it feel like...
It feels good. It feels like
Are you back?
It feels like I probably should have done it a long time ago, because it wasn't that hard to do. It was just... Gleba is just such a... it is such a pain from the beginning to get kickstarted, because you have to go gather the resources, and they have an expiration date. They are expiring in your inventory, and some of them, when they expire, some of them are eggs, and when they expire, they hatch into enemies that eat you. And there are enemies that like come to attack your farms that are super resistant.
It's the Dark Souls 2 of Factorio levels.
It has like...
where it's just mean to you.
It is.
No reason.
I would say that's a great analog, because I actually do think it still is like one of the best factory experiences you can get in gaming, but it is significantly worse to me than any other of what you can do in Factorio.
That's funny.
Because you have these enemies that might come attack you, and they are really, really resistant to any weapons you have until you start doing research with items you can only get on Gleba. So you have to get a factory going and moving before your pollution can reach. It's not pollution, it's a different thing. It's like pollen from your farms or something, because Gleba is all about plants. And you have to get everything working before they come and start attacking you, because you're not going to have the resources. But the way I finally did it, it's an idea I like in factory builder games, but it's called reverse think. And it's that you essentially, instead of building the smaller components, you build the manufacturing sites for the end. So the first thing I built was the rocket silo, and then I built the manufacturing lines for the parts, and then I built everything, and I worked my way backwards to have where I needed to plug in iron ore and copper ore. And then I went and did like the weird Gleba plant stuff you have to do to get iron and copper ore. And it turns out, as long as you can keep an assembly line moving and actually expending your resources, Gleba's not that bad. But when you have stagnation, stuff rotting on the assembly line, Gleba's a real pain. And like, it's even worse because the way you generate power on Gleba is with these heat towers. And the way I was doing it originally was just my compost. Like, everything that rotted, I was burning it and generating power, and that solved two problems for me. But then if the assembly line stalled up, or something happened and my farms weren't producing or something, then my power would go out too, and it was like these cascading problems that would happen. And that's still true. My current build is not a whole lot more resilient. It just is running such, like, it should continue to run without interruption, and so nothing should go bad. And also I have it set up so that even if everything rots on the line, it'll make it into the burning tower. I have like diversions all throughout my assembly to like filter out the rotting stuff and burn it. And it's just a huge pain. And even though like really big Factorio YouTubers and stuff are like, Gleb is their least favorite planet to try to like scale up on. It's such a pain. But I'm glad I got off. I haven't made it to Fulgora. The only of the first 3 planets I haven't visited is Fulgora. I'm really excited to get there, but I'm just trying to understand my factory again because I took basically a 7-month hiatus.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine.
Yeah, so a little. And
if I ever revisit Satisfactory, I would probably have to start over.
You were only a few hours in though, I think.
I don't know. Was I like, I don't know, maybe like 8?
Oh really? Okay, that's a lot more than I expected. Yeah, that could be a little painful, but. You could also just boot up that save and delete your factory, because in Satisfactory you get all your parts back when you delete a factory.
Oh, okay.
In fact, you do in Factorio as well. It's just a little more painful. But yeah, it's just, it feels really good to have that game again. I will say, I think I complained a little bit about this, how I don't really like playing multiplayer factory games, and that bit me in the butt on this, because I got back to Navis, which is the first planet. And I'm walking around and I'm like, why is the factory dead? What's happening? My buddy Antonio had been playing on that save with me, and he built our nuclear power plant. And he had not handled nuclear waste at all. He just had it going into a chest or something, and the chest filled up. And he had set it up. He knew it would happen. I called him and was talking to him, and he said, "Oh yeah, I knew that would happen eventually. I didn't tell you about it." But he set it up so that it would take tens of hours to happen. Like, he had put enough storage there that it would work for like 20 or 30 hours.
So does time pass even when the game's not on? Like, no, how does that work?
No, I just have a lot of time in the save.
Okay, so like all the time you were in Gleba and stuff.
Yeah, but like the nuclear power plant predated Vulcanus, and I was on Vulcanus for like over 10 hours, I think. So, and then, probably another 10 hours on Nobbies before that. This had been running for 20, 25 hours or something of game time. No, great. Once you know what you're doing, Factorio doesn't take that long. But when you're figuring it out, it can take many hours to get going.
Right.
I have like a little under 300 hours in the game, I think.
That's a lot of hours. That's crazy.
That's like 5 or 6 playthroughs though. The first one took 70 hours. The second one took like 12, and then I did a DLC, or not a DLC, a mod that like redoes the entire game. That took like 100. Like,
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then Space Age has taken me a ton of time.
Yeah, one of these days I'll get around to Factorio as well.
Yeah, I would get, since you already own it, I would like seriously get comfortable with Satisfactory first, because Factorio is, in my opinion, better, but also like way more complex. Like,
right.
Satisfactory almost puts it in your face that there are these ratios that you can meet and get your factory running really well with these ratios. And it also gives you a really easy way to void items you don't want with the awesome sync. I don't know if you got that far.
I did, yeah.
And Factorio doesn't do either of those things. Factorio does have those like perfect ratios, but they're not in your face. They're not as they're certainly not obvious to me. So,
well, I'm glad to get like a conclusion to your struggle on Gleba.
I'm glad to be able to play the game again. Oh my god, it is so nice. Like, I just don't have to go back to Gleba now. I spec'd my base to do 1 science per second. That is all I wanted out of it, and Gleba is producing a little bit more than that.
So let me ask you, is there any chance that, like, much like your nuclear problem, something similar will happen on Gleba and you have to go back and fix it?
Yes, almost certainly. My defenses are good enough on Gleba for now, but it is very likely that the wildlife is going to become a problem. And I knew that because seemingly the best weapons for Gleba are things you get by research with the Gleba science, the biological science. And I needed to get that back to Navis to actually do the research with it. So I'll come back, or maybe not even come back. You can have your robots build stuff for you, basically, without actually flying back. So I don't know if I'll actually have to fly back to Gleba, but I will have to like look at it again, unfortunately, to use these new weapons that I'm going to unlock.
Unfortunately. All right, so I haven't really been playing much. I've been playing a little Donkey Kong here, a little Death Stranding there, but I think maybe we can circle back on Donkey Kong once I've finished the game, because I do think I'm kind of close now.
Do you know what layer you're on?
I'm on like layer 1300 or something.
You're getting there. Do you want to know what the end layer is, or should I keep my mouth shut?
Let's keep it a surprise.
Okay,
Yeah.
but you'll know it is not a surprise when you are reaching the end of the game. It gets very very core of the planet-y, you know?
Right. Yeah. So I actually just got the Snake Bonanza. So that's where I am.
Yeah, do you like the Bonanza transformations?
I do, yeah. I think they're pretty fun.
I hate them. I found every moment of using a Bonanza transformation
really
agonizing.
That's crazy.
I hated them. I thought they were so boring. The music is fine.
Well, let's save it for when we dive into Donkey Kong Bonanza more deeply, because I do want to finish the game, and then we've both given our thoughts independently, but it would be good to do a discussion.
Yeah. I do like the game overall, though.
Yeah. It's a very good game.
Very good.
So, with that being said, I think that'll do it for us this week. Thank you all for listening. You can follow us at Podcast Game Talk on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Blue Sky. You can click the link in the description to join our Discord and talk to us there. And please like, rate, and review us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other podcast services you use. Thanks, Connor.
Yeah. See you next week.
See you next week. Bye.